guys, Alan here from Reclaimed Warrior. And today I want to talk about your character. More importantly, I want to tell you why your character is like a sword blade. Like this one. This is a gladius, the Roman short sword that conquered most of the known world. Alright, almost all the European swords are direct descendants from this. It's nice, it's functional, this one is real, it's sharp, okay? I've got an actual bone handle on it, I put on there. But you look at the blade, you know, it's nice, it's clean, it's shiny, it's sharp, looks perfect in a lot of ways. And I'm not going to make the simple analogy of, well, your character can be sharp or it can be dull, could be clean, could be rusty. No, that's way too simple. I want to talk about two very specific things. I want to talk about inclusions and I want to talk about tempering. All right? Inclusions are little imperfections, foreign material that is hidden inside of the steel. Now, as refineries have gotten better, as the making of steel has gotten better, we've gotten much better at making sure we don't have inclusions, or at least no big ones, inside of the steel. You can only find them when you're looking under a microscope. Even when you get swords that are hundreds of years old, you're still only going to see it under a microscope. The reason why inclusions are so important is that since it's not part of the actual steel, it poses a weak spot. You can't see it, you don't know it's there, it's hiding from you, but yet it structurally compromises the blade. And I'm telling you right now that your inclusions inside your character are those secret little hidden sins. Some of them are not so little, are they? They're really big, but yet no one else knows about them, that you keep hidden from the world. They're there. People don't see them, but when the right amount of force comes along, the right trouble in your life, when, you know, the devil comes after you specifically, when a trauma occurs in your family, in your marriage, when something happens to you, and it hits that spot just right, you will break. Your character's going to break just in the same way that this sword blade could potentially snap in half because of an inclusion causing a weak spot. Alright? I want you to think about that for a little bit. The other thing I wanted to talk about is tempering. In order for a sword blade to be fully functional, to actually be a sword blade, and not just a fancy paperweight, essentially, is a process called heat treating. The blade gets heated up to critical temp, you quench it, cool it down rapidly, it gets super, super, super hard, and then you have to bring it back up in temperature a little bit so that the blade has a little bit of flex to it. You quench it to make it super hard so it can have a really good, hard, sharp edge on it, but then you have to bring it up to temperature a little bit to be able to get a little bit of that toughness in the blade so it can bend and not break. God does the same thing with you, does the same thing with your character. He allows things to happen. That's one of the viable questions, is why do bad things happen to good people? And we could argue about that for hours and days, and, well, humanity's been arguing about it forever, practically. And the reality is, God allows bad things to happen to us to help us build character. Okay, James says this in the Bible. You know, the Bible specifically says, rejoice in your sufferings, because sufferings build character, builds perseverance, and the fruits of that are good things. It's awful at the time. I hate it. I hate it when I've gone through trials, and I know I have more coming because I'm human and I'm still alive. But in order for me to get better, in order for me to be functional and usable for God and His mission here on earth, in order to be a warrior for God on earth, I have to have my character tested and I have to have it toughened up, just like a sword blade. So you need to focus on what inclusions you have in your life and your character that pose those dangerous weak spots, and sometimes you may not even be fully aware of it to you. You might have to ask someone, what character flaws do you see in me on a daily basis? Well, maybe your language is awful, and you don't think it's awful because you're not even thinking about it at the time. Maybe you have a habit of coming into work late, leaving early. Maybe you have other issues. Maybe you've got internal flaws that only you know about. Maybe you struggle with pornography. You struggle with lust. You have other issues. Maybe you gamble with money that you can't really afford to gamble with. You're going to have to do some soul searching on that. But every single one of us has to. And you're not alone in this. Every single one of us has to address this. So I want you to really start thinking about those two areas in your life and how if you want to be a sharp, good, functional sword for Christ to make a difference in this earth, you have to address those areas.